What is reflex action? Reflex is an involuntary and sudden response to stimuli. It happens to be an integral component of the famed survival instinct. Most of the common reflexes are a response to all the well-trained, accumulated knowledge of caution that we have internalized. It could be anything and ranges from the reflex action of abruptly withdrawing the hand as it comes in contact with an extremely cold or hot object. This action is termed as the reflex action. It has a subtle relation to instinct. A point to be thought upon is that we all have our instincts differently depending on our past experiences and understanding. A reflex is a reaction triggered by this instinct. At times, we have no prior knowledge if the pan is hot or not. In other words, instinct has little to do with reflex. What is the brain? The brain is a complex organ that controls thought, memory, emotion, touch, motor skills, vision, breathing, temperature, hunger, and every process that regulates our body. Together, the brain and spinal cord that extends from it make up the central nervous system, or CNS. The main parts of the brain are cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla. What is the brain made of? Weighing about 3 pounds in the average adult, the brain is about 60% fat. The remaining 40% is a combination of water, protein, carbohydrates, and salts. The brain itself is not a muscle. It contains blood vessels and nerves, including neurons and glial cells. What is the gray matter and white matter? Gray and white matter are two different regions of the central nervous system. In the brain, gray matter refers to the darker, outer portion, while white matter describes the lighter, inner section underneath. In the spinal cord, this order is reversed, the white matter is on the outside, and the gray matter sits within. Gray matter is primarily composed of neuron somas, the round central cell bodies, and white matter is mostly made of axons, the long stems that connects neurons together, wrapped in myelin, a protective coating. The different composition of neuron parts is why the two appear as separate shades on certain scans. How does the brain work? The brain sends and receives chemical and electrical signals throughout the body. Different signals control different processes, and your brain interprets each. Some make you feel tired, for example, while others make you feel pain. Some messages are kept within the brain, while others are relayed through the spine and across the body's vast network of nerves to distant extremities. To do this, the central nervous system relies on billions of neurons, nerve cells. Hormones in animals. Hormones are chemicals secreted by various endocrine glands directly into the blood and transported to the respective organs, where they act by regulating various metabolic processes. The organ affected by the hormone is called the target organ. The target cells have specific receptors to recognize the respective hormones. There are two types of glands present in our body. One, endocrine glands, these glands that do not have ducts and transport their secretions directly to the site of action through the blood, e.g. adrenal glands, pituitary glands, etc. 2. Exocrine glands, these glands have ducts to pass their secretions, example, sweat, liver, etc. Hormones are secreted by endocrine glands. Types of hormonal imbalances. 1. Adrenal insufficiency. Addison's disease is caused as a result of insufficient adrenaline secretion. The symptoms like fatigue, dehydration, and skin changes indicate Addison's disease. 2. Cushing's disease. Hypersecretion of ACTH from pituitary gland may result in an overactive adrenal gland. This is a type of Cushing's syndrome, which occurs in people with high corticosteroid levels. 3. Acromegaly, gigantism. The hypersecretion of growth hormone from the pituitary gland in kids results in the development of an abnormally large body. 4. Hyperthyroidism. When the thyroid gland produces more thyroxine hormone, it results in hyperthyroidism. The symptoms include fast heart rate, sweating, etc. 5. Hypothyroidism. When the thyroid gland produces less amount of thyroxine, it results in hypothyroidism. The symptoms include goiter, thyroid gland enlargement, fatigue, constipation, dry skin, etc. Movements in plants. Life is a sense of balance among several activities. These activities include growth, nutrition, reproduction, excretion, etc. Both animals and plants are two different forms of living organisms. Therefore, the pathway, which they follow for numerous life processes, are also different. For instance, animals can run away from their predators, but plants cannot. Plants have their own mechanism to counteract the danger they face. Nervous system and endocrine system are the two different systems in the animal body which is involved in balancing and controlling different types of activities. In the case of plants, they are completely devoid of the nervous system and other special organs. However, plants adapt to retort to various stimuli by few movements. The response can be a slow process such as tropism or a rapid movement such as semimonistic movement. Sensitive plants exhibit semimonistic movement while responding to a touch. Hence, we can categorize plants into two types on the basis of their movements, tropic movements and nastic movements. Types of movements. Phototropism. Plants grow towards or away from the light. The type of tropism in the response to light is called phototropism. In general, the stems usually show positive phototropism, while roots show negative phototropism. Leaves also positively respond toward the source of light. Gravitropism. It is a type of tropism where plants show some growth in response to gravity. Stems are negative to the gravitropism while roots are positive to the gravitropism. This is also referred to as geotropism. Among different parts of plants, the primary roots and certain other portions of the root system show positive geotropism by growing directly towards the center of gravity. The stems are called as the negatively geotropic as they grow away from the center of gravity. The leaves are transversely geotropic as they select their positions at right angles to the center of gravity. Chemotropism. There are few chemical substances which are actively responsible for bringing a curvature movement in plant organs. When plants grow in response to certain chemicals, this type of response is known as chemotropism. Few examples of chemotropic movements are the conversion of a flower into fruit, the growth of a pollen tube down the style during fertilization, movement of tentacles in Drosera, etc. Thigmotropism. The growing or developing movements made through plants in response to contact with a solid object are called thigmotropism. These type of movements are usually seen in tendrils and twinners. This movement is also referred to as haptotropism. Hydrotropism. The movement or the growth of a plant in relation to the stimulus of water is called hydrotropic movements, and the equivalent response to the stimulus of water is called hydrotropism. In this type of movement, roots show the positive hydrotropic response as they move and grow towards the water. Thermotropism. It is the form of a tropic movement in which a plant or a part of the plant responds to the changing atmospheric temperature. For example, this type of movement is usually seen in the plants of rhododendron. Here leaf starts twisting or bending in response to cold temperatures.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day.